Welcome to our first Get in the Loop Fireside Chat. My name is Jason Mann. I'm the CMO and Vice President of Marketing for Get in the Loop and Loop Media Group. And with me is Cliff Shillington. And Cliff has 30 plus years of marketing, ownership, and franchising experience with RE/MAX. For 5 years, was it in the mid-2000s when you were in Denver?
Well, actually, I first joined RE/MAX in 1985. So, I was trying to figure out, it's about 34 years I've been associated with RE/MAX. But I've been with them I started with them as a sales associate and then became a manager, and then I bought my own franchise in Saskatoon in 1985 and saw how supportive actually the franchise system was, and had a chance to sell it, moved to corporate side, RE/MAX Western Canada based in Kelowna, and did that for a number of years, and then I guess they liked what I was doing. They sent me to Denver to run the international operations, if you can imagine. So yeah,
Sounds like a gig.
Spent 5 years in Denver from 2000 to 2005. My responsibility was as the Vice President of Global Operations, and my territory was everything outside the United States.
So at that time when you first started, how many franchise countries were there?
We were in 32 countries when I took that job. And what was kind of interesting is that the expansion wasn't planned expansion, it just kind of happened, and then they realized we better get involved with this here and give it some direction, some base. So that's when they put me into that position. Did that for 5 years, traveled the globe an awful lot. So after 5 years of that, that's pretty much.
And in those 5 years, how many countries did you end up having a footprint in?
Well, when I left, we're in 54, so you got a calculator, we can figure that one out.
Yeah,
but yeah, there was
22 or something?
Yeah, we had really substantial growth that took place at that time. And it was fascinating to watch because you're taking a franchise. So with us in Canada, RE/MAX is a brand very well known. It's much stronger in Canada than it is in the United States, but still the brands are known in both countries. You then go into an international region where, what's a RE/MAX? Some people thought it was a hot air balloon company. So I know exactly what it's like when you've got a new franchise that's coming into a marketplace where the brand is not known, and how you have to build that brand, get the awareness out to the consumers as well as to the ones who want to buy that franchise and show them what the benefits are. The great thing that you can do though is say, okay, in this center, we started with nothing as well. I mean, we can use GetintheLoop in Kelowna, right? That's where it started, and look where it is now and what it's done. So, the idea that you're in a new marketplace, good for you. You got a chance to take it from nothing to everything.
In those 5 years that you were leading the global expansion, any highlights from the highlight reel that you can share? I mean, that's a lot of interesting places and a lot of interesting work.
Yes, there's a lot of things I could share, but I probably shouldn't. It literally took me around the globe to places I had never expected I would ever see, and people I met that were just absolutely fascinating. But it was really interesting is it took me to meet people who had the vision of what they thought RE/MAX could do for them in their country. Argentina's a good example. Really, they didn't have the money to do it. And yet today, 12 years later, they're one of the strongest franchises we have in the entire network. So I met somebody who, I'm not going to say was a pauper, I met someone who was a sheik in Saudi Arabia who bought the RE/MAX Arab Peninsula region remember having to see their franchise financials, and they could have bought RE/MAX International. So it's you don't have to be rich or poor to want to make a success of something. You just have to have the desire to do it.
Interesting. So when was it then that you first met our founder, Matt? Speaking of people.
Speaking of people, yeah. Actually, I met him through his dad. Matt's dad, Kevin, worked with me at RE/MAX Kelowna as one of our sales associates, and great guy, played hockey with him, that sort of thing, and he had this young son who thought he may want to get into the real estate business. So I met Matt just sort of like, oh, okay, so what you're thinking of doing. He obviously eventually chose not to do that, took a different direction. But I do specifically remember meeting him just because he had a very, tremendous sense of energy and enthusiasm, but he showed focus in what he wanted to do. And when I sat down and chatted with him, I realized, this isn't what he wants to do. He's got bigger plans.
And that's the thing. So you first met him, and then there was a period of time until you became an investor in the company?
Yeah, that's right. I first met him before he really had even started GetintheLoop, and then he started the GetintheLoop, and it just involved some golf courses and that. And so I was familiar with it at that point, primarily through his dad. And then, really interesting enough, it's kind of just kept growing and expanding and moving a few things. And I think Kevin and I, his dad and I would always, chat about where things were going with Matt because I saw what was going on. And Kevin said, you know what, you got a chance to invest in this. And I'm thinking, yeah, I don't know. I remember investing in some tech companies in the late 90s, and the only thing I saw was no money in my bank account.
And there's no brand note really
that's
at
right.
that point.
But I did sit down with Matt, and we talked about it, and I was just really taken by his entrepreneurship and his focus and his excitement, enthusiasm, and his commitment that he can make this happen. He can make this grow. And interestingly enough, I had seen this before. Some people associated with RE/MAX, where they knew they were going to do it. They were determined they could do it. They had a great idea. When you sat there and listened to Matt talk about it, and you just sort of like, I think he's onto something. You know what? And I swore to myself I'd never invest in a tech company again. And here I am writing him a check for X number of dollars. Thinking, what are you doing, Cliff? But I believed in him. I really thought he was onto something. And as we saw it continue to grow, Jason, it was something that, So, I've invested not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times. So do I believe in what he's doing? Absolutely.
Yeah. At that time, if you can go back, you were a little bit gun shy of investing in tech again. What was it about you had an affinity for Matt, obviously, and saw that he had the potential to carry this out. What about the business model itself and the business concept? Did you have any thoughts about it at that time that you could share? Yeah.
Very much so. And that's what really allowed me to make that decision to support Matt and move forward. Remember, I've been with RE/MAX from very early on, and how RE/MAX revolutionized the real estate industry. When I see what Matt is doing with GetintheLoop, again, from an outsider's perspective, because I'm not in the advertising business, but I'm thinking, man, this is going to revolutionize the advertising business, the media business as far as, being digital and on social media. The print media right now, and owning a real estate company, we spend more than our fair share on the print media, but it gets dropped at people's doorsteps. No one's looking at it, no one's reading it. Whereas when you get in the loop and it's an app that's downloaded, it's a specific decisions made to download this app and to see what's on it. Now you're reaching the consumers that you want to get to, who are going to look at what is being offered and taking advantage of it. It just, to me, made so much more sense than what the traditional way that we're doing it. And not only that, especially for small business owners, it's so much more affordable for what it costs to buy and to be a partner for a month on GetintheLoop compared to what it costs to take a little ad like that in print media. There's just no comparison to me. So I just saw that when I saw what he was doing and thinking, yeah, you're going to revolutionize just where this industry is going to go.
Packed with value, full of passion, and guns a-blazing. Now, Matt reached out to you over a year ago now about an idea that he had about franchising. Tell us what you thought when he had made that call to you.
Well, please understand, when I first invested in it, the idea of franchising wasn't on the table at all. It wasn't thought about. And then he started, as an investor, he was giving me updates, and we'd had a few chats, and I'd say, if I can help with anything, just let me know. And then he mentioned the idea of, I'm thinking of franchising this, and listening to him talk about it and thinking, yeah, that's a great idea. I've always believed that if you have an entrepreneur who's got skin in the game, who can take this as their own business and run with it, how much better it's going to do. I saw it in RE/MAX, obviously. When you look at a company that allows the ownership to take place, you're just going to do so much better at it. But it was kind of funny because Matt had talked to me about, I'm thinking of franchising, but I got to find somebody who knows something about franchising because, I got to do this. And I'm sitting there thinking, you have no idea what my background is, do you? And actually, I said that to him. You don't know what I used to do. Well, you own RE/MAX Kelowna. I said, yeah, but prior to that. So then I explained to him, I said, okay, well, buddy, I've been in the franchising business for a long time. I've been through it as a franchisee, as a franchisor, then going into the international side of it and creating master franchises. And when I finished telling him this, he's just sitting there going like, well, I can't say what he said, but it was like, you're kidding.
So,
Paraphrased.
and I imagine at that point in time, you started having a lot more conversations and spending a little more time together.
Yeah, I think I talk to Matt more on a daily basis than my kids.
Yeah. So he gives you a lot of credit, obviously, for the model, the go-to market model, and the way that the franchising program has been set up. Can you share a little bit about how you arrived at the marketing plans, and?
Well, yeah, I mean, when we started talking about franchising, I was obviously very familiar with the RE/MAX franchise because I was involved in the early days, and I sold franchises for RE/MAX Western Canada before I got into the international side of it all, and saw how we had taken our franchise concept and moved it forward. And I saw changes we made and what was good, and we had things in there that weren't very good. So when Matt and I started talking about the franchising side of it, I was able to offer to him really my experience, saying, okay, here's what you should consider doing, and here's mistakes RE/MAX made. Let's make sure we avoid those. So yeah, we spent a lot of time going through how should we develop this franchise and set it up and establish it. And as we were working on it more and more, I just couldn't help but think, like, what an opportunity for entrepreneurs to get their hands on this and be able to do something with it. And it's going to be franchised. It's going to work so effectively for them, for someone who going to buy the franchise, plus the consumer.
Now, with your experience with RE/MAX, and I mean, that's pretty aggressive growth that you experienced in those 5 years. Being in franchising space as a franchisor during that period of time, essentially. Do you have any reflections on where, or comparisons, I guess, where you see GetintheLoop today compared to other franchises and their path to growth? Because I think I read something, it was about 4.4 is the average number of franchise units being launched by an individual franchisor in Canada per year. Now that's an average, but in the last 10 months, it's now at 30, and by the time people are watching this, it'll be well over 30, and who knows, we're adding one now at about an operation per week, basically, at that rate right now. So just any kind of sense of where we are in comparison to other franchisors and RE/MAX and your other experiences.
Oh, certainly. I mean, when I look at GetintheLoop and success it's having right now comparing to RE/MAX and success we had, in the entire RE/MAX network, we'd offer an award to the top region for some of the most franchises. And usually the winner had sold anywhere from 30 to 40 franchises in a year. The odd time, maybe you sold more than that, but you did really well. If you're selling that many franchises, you're doing really well. I look at GetintheLoop and success we've had in such a short period of time. I mean, we're blowing the doors off, I think, any franchise that's out there. So as far as the number of sales that are taking place, and we've just started. I mean, we're in the early days. The brand really isn't very well known. So again, I can look at RE/MAX when the brand became more well known. We had people, I want to buy the franchise, but territory sold. We don't have that, anything to sell to you. GetintheLoop's going to get there, and it's going to get there way quicker than anything else that I'm aware of. It's because primarily it's offering a few things that no other franchise has offered. And say, when I talk to different people about that, well, what does it offer? I said, it offers the individual to be able to buy a franchise with such a little capital investment. You don't have to, there's no bricks and mortar involved. You don't have to go out and rent space. You don't have to get a photocopy. You don't have to do all the other leasehold improvements or aspects that most businesses do. Think of when you open up a restaurant. You want to talk about expense. I mean, open up a RE/MAX office is an expensive venture to go down to. But when you buy a GetintheLoop franchise, you probably already own a phone because that's how you got in touch with us, and you likely own a car. And so those are your only two material needs I think that you really need in this. But the other thing you need is that desire and enthusiasm to go out and do it.
So success predicated really on the revolutionary business model and the opportunity to create wealth and the revolution of technology, all kind of combining together with this business model, driving it forward.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a concept, first off, that is welcomed in today's marketplace, within today's business world. I shouldn't say welcome, is needed more so than anything else. So here you've got this concept, and yet you still got the aspect of it, put it in the hands of entrepreneurs, because the growth of any business has always best succeeded with an entrepreneur, someone who's got that desire, that drive to do it. If you're going to buy a franchise, you're going to buy a GetintheLoop franchise and think, okay, I bought it and they're just going to come to me now. I can just sit at home and wait for the calls to come in. Wrong. It doesn't work that way. I don't know of any franchise or any business that works that way. You buy it, but you have to work at it. But I mean, the opportunity to work at it and what you've got to sell is phenomenal because you're doing the business owners a tremendous service because you're offering an alternative for advertising that is so affordable. And secondly, you're offering something to the consumer that is going to get a benefit from downloading this app and the exposure to those businesses. It's a win for everybody.
Mm-hmm. And you know, Matt being the consummate entrepreneur, masters in innovation, and just how much he loves the spirit of entrepreneurialism. I mean, everything is the grind and crank her up, and we're very motivated and we get a good dose of optimism when he's around the office. That's for sure. I know how pumped he is about what the company is doing now in terms of focusing on helping entrepreneurs help entrepreneurs. So Matt being the entrepreneur, helping franchisees with their entrepreneurial spirit and endeavors, who are then in turn helping other entrepreneurs with small businesses in the communities that they live in. I know that sets his sail very strongly, and all of ours here as well. We're very passionate about that mission. What do you think is in the future for GetintheLoop, knowing that's kind of the course that we're headed?
Oh, I think the future is tremendous in front of us, as long as we don't lose focus. And something that I've learned over many years that I've been involved in business is that as soon as you think we've got it made, we're good, and we can just run the course, and we've been innovative at this point, everything's good, okay, we're fine now. Wrong. I mean, Matt's enthusiasm is what's got us to this point here, along with his team. Like, come on, the team has followed him with the same level of enthusiasm, same desire. Matt hasn't done this on his own. He's got a great team who's supporting him and backing him. But he initiates it and he keeps it going. But he also recognizes, and I believe his team does, that we have to keep pushing the envelope and keep pushing. Can we do something better? Can we continue to create something that's going to be what the consumer wants and what the businesses want? I mean, again, entrepreneurship is what moves business as far as I'm concerned, and it creates the commerce that we have. And you just can't sit there and think, this is good, that's enough. I mean, not at all. And knowing Matt, it's not going to stop. I mean, we're talking already, okay, what does the future hold? Where are we going to go? What can we do with this? And I know in the back end of the technology side, which I know nothing about, I know there's always continued innovation and development to make it better, to make it more effective. So with that in mind, where do I see the future of GetintheLoop? As long as we maintain that direction, that value, we're going to do just fine.
Yeah. The growth on franchising has been remarkable. And it hasn't been a sale a week or a market every week since we started. It's the velocity and the momentum has actually picked up dramatically. I think, the last time I looked on the board, next month has 7 potential new markets coming on board. So that's even more than 1 a week. If people who are watching right now are interested in acquiring a franchise, becoming a franchisee, and a part of our team, or a part of anybody's team, I guess, just looking at franchising as a potential direction for them. Do you have any advice for those people?
Yes, I do. I would suggest to anyone who's looking at maybe buying a franchise, or as a GetintheLoop or a franchise another nature, the most important aspect of it, I believe, is you have to believe in the product. If you are just going to buy this franchise because, hey, it's a good deal, I mean, it's not that much money put up front and that sort of thing, if you have to believe in the product. You have to believe that this is good for the businesses and it's good for the consumer. And if you have that belief and that desire and the support of it, you're going to do exceptionally well. If you don't, it's the wrong franchise for you. And GetintheLoop is not for everybody. So, and it's for everybody as far as affordability is concerned, but it has to be the right individual. And what I really like about GetintheLoop too, it's creating the opportunity for, I shouldn't say the younger entrepreneurs, most of you people are younger than me now, but the fact is that you don't have to have $300,000 or $400,000 in the bank to buy this franchise to open it up. You've got a small little reserve, you can get into this and you can have your own business, your own franchise, and be able to build yourself a future that is going to be worth, I think, a lot of money. And not only that, when you buy a franchise, is that, is there a benefit to it? Is there a benefit to society? Now I'm sounding like a bit of a socialist, but I mean, is this helping out society? And it is. I mean, you can even talk about the environmental side of it. That's paperless, pretty much. I mean, it's instead of wasting all your money on print advertising and everything like that, it's all on your phone. I mean, it's all digital. And
Traditional media is expensive, unmeasurable. Google and Facebook now, you have to have a fatter wallet to operate those platforms, and quite a bit of experience now too.
That's right.
Simpler, it's easier.
Yeah.
And on the consumer side, I love how, I'm sorry, because we're taking over now, but I get excited just hearing you talk. Just how we help consumers shop local wherever they are, and what that means for communities everywhere too.
That's so true. I had a conversation just a little while ago with somebody who said, yeah, well, the Alberta economy, it's kind of down right now, so I'm not sure how GetintheLoop would do. I'm saying time out. If anything, right now GetintheLoop is perfect for that economy because it's so much more cost effective for the businesses. And we keep talking about the small business and the smaller entrepreneurs, and that's so true. But I mean, for big businesses, when I look at RE/MAX, I'm like, we should be all over this thing here. But for a business that is struggling in a tougher economy, it's so much more cost effective to take advantage of what GetintheLoop has to offer, and it targets the audience that they're looking for. Instead of just spending a couple $1,000s a small ad, goes in the paper that comes, you don't even open it up, goes in the garbage. It's such a waste of money, where this actually has a dedicated cause for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for coming today and taking some time with us, opening the kimono, giving us some insight from your perspective with RE/MAX, and all of your help with our company and moving it forward. We do appreciate it.
Most welcome.
And thank you. And if you'd like to learn more about what we're doing at GetintheLoop or Loop Media Group, loopmediagroup.com or getinthelooplocal.com, and you can find more in the links below.